My 43F kids constantly choose my husband's 43M GF 29F over me, and he won't intervene. How can I get him to back me up? My husband and I were together for 8 years before having our first son, and things changed drastically after we became parents. My desire level died because of exhaustion, being a new mother, etc. Although he did help a lot, I just never got the same level of desire back, and after the second son we had to have a conversation because it was becoming a major issue. I really didn't care about intimacy anymore, although I was willing to go along with it. There were some lines I drew that I hadn't before. He came out as a furry a year into our relationship and I went along with it, but after children I decided that it made us incompatible and I didn't want to partake in it anymore, and I suggested if he wanted more intimacy and someone who was willing to pretend to be various animal characters, he get a GF. He found one after about a year online, and although I did initially suggest it, I wasn't happy. I didn't believe that he could find someone because he is ADHD and might be slightly autistic. She is very eccentric and according to her parents, she is diagnosed autistic, but she is a very sweet woman and gets along with everyone. After a while I agreed that she could move in with us and things were going well, but over the last 2 years there have been a lot of issues that I don't like. Husband spends more time with her than with me, and they send each other cutesy texts, which he never does with me. Her parents are well off and buy my kids expensive gifts that make my parents, and to a lesser extent his parents, their real grandparents, look bad. The kids seem to like her more than me sometimes. For example, she spends a lot of time teaching them how to draw, which especially our oldest son loves. She wears animal accessories in public. Last week, we had a snapping point where we went out for lunch after picking up the kids for school, and I suggested we go to get haircuts for the kids and then go to the specialty cheese shop that is in the mall where the hairdressers are. My husband wanted to go to the comic book store instead, and GF agreed as she wanted to get a bobblehead. I asked the kids directly if they would rather go with me or GF, and they both chose GF. It just seems as if I am falling out of favor with my husband and kids, and I want advice on how to reverse this. Since we are married, I expect my husband to back me up on issues like this. How can I make that happen? Edit. Wow, I wasn't expecting this to blow up so much. For those of you who sent me supportive PMs, thank you. From the comments and some PMs, I get the feeling that this may not have been the ideal place to post this. I am going to repost to the poly sub as suggested by many as well. For those of you who have judged and blamed me entirely, I don't know what to say. I can't blame the lack of desire entirely on the kids, but it was a big part. I also feel that men do not have the right to a woman's body just because they are married, so I decided to not sell my soul by dressing up as various animals anymore and accepting being used. For those of you siding with my husband, I guess you don't agree with this, and all I can say is shame on you. For the many that acted outraged that I agreed to her moving in, she helped a lot, she is a nice person, and the issues have grown slowly over the last couple of years. The other red herring was the cheese shop versus comic book store. I understand it wasn't the best example, but it was the last straw in a long line of this kind of thing. The kids preferring to get picked up from school by Snow Vixen. The youngest even screamed at me one day when I picked him up and asked why he couldn't get picked up by Snow Vixen. The kids and my husband and the GF all overruling me at night and watching Pokemon while we are all in the living room together after dinner. I really hate stuff like that, but they all unite against me. It's just the smallest things to the biggest things, and my husband almost never sides with me.